Hey everybody, welcome to the real United States, and welcome to Bowling Green Park in New York City. Now, we came here because Bowling Green is the oldest park in New York City. It actually started here in about 1638 as a cattle market during the colonial period. But then in about 1733, it became a park. It started to become a park. So it makes it the oldest park in New York City. Now, this is the original park, and the original fence surrounds it. The fountain's new. It was dedicated much later to a philanthropist here in New York City for the beautification, contributions he made to the city. But again, this started off as a marketplace where they sold cattle and eventually they sold grain. People would come here and trade products, and a lot of how commerce in the United States started in that era. Much as Wall Street started off as a bunch of businessmen buying and selling commodities, literally that sat along a wall on that particular street, Bowling Green was a marketplace. Now today it's this beautiful little park here, not far from the Hudson River. We're right next to Battery Park. And people come down here just to go ahead and relax, sit around, and enjoy themselves. And today is a Sunday, it's a beautiful day. Now, the original fence I was talking about, let's take a look at that. Now, on August 21st in 1770, the British government erected a 4,000-pound lead statue, it was gilded, of King George III, where the fountain stands now. And at that time, they erected this fence around it to help protect the statue. And there were, on top of these posts, crown finals. A few years later, the United States declared its independence. And on July 9th, just 5 days after we declared independence, Loyalists ran down Broadway, toppled the statue, and took saws and cut the finals off of every one of these posts. You can still feel the saw marks on the top of these posts to this day. 250 years later or something, not quite 250, but almost another year. The statue was ultimately chopped up and shipped off to Connecticut, where the foundry up there made it into approximately 42,000 Patriot bullets that we then delivered back to the British out of the ends of our muskets. But we're not total barbarians. When we chopped the head off of the lead statue, we didn't send that to the foundry and have it melted down into bullets. No, that we crated up and we shipped back to the British. So they got at least part of their statue back. And over the next several years, they got all the remaining parts of the statue back. Now, George Washington lived here. Seriously. In 1790, when New York was briefly our nation's capital prior to the formation of Washington, D.C., George and Martha Washington lived at 39 Broadway, right here just off the north end of Bowling Green. So there's a lot of historical significance besides just this being a market and the development of the city, but in fact an integral part of our nation's development even after the Revolution. So a very, very historically rich place, and it's just so different to think about it, how it would have been then as compared to how it is now, with everybody sitting around enjoying each other's company and munching ice cream and just enjoying a Sunday afternoon. It's just a beautiful thing. A very tumultuous start, but also really the heart of the city at the time. Now, for those of you who didn't study American history or don't remember it, New York was founded by the Dutch. This originally was not New York. This was, in fact, New Amsterdam. It was at a point later in history that this actually became controlled by the British and the Americans and became New York. So, a very, very, very important part of the American culture here in the United States. So, I'd like to thank you for joining us here on the Real United States. I hope you've enjoyed this visit to Bowling Green in the heart of New York City. I hope that if you haven't already, you'll pick subscribe and come along for the adventure. We love having everybody with us. If you got questions or comments, leave in the comment section below. We love hearing from you. I try to get back to everybody I can. And as always, thank you for watching.